Is it working? I never know if these things actually work or not when you first start them because Google Hangouts has some interesting capabilities of not wanting to actually work when you're, yeah. So it looks like it's live. Let me go ahead and tweet this link out. What's up, Ramsey? What's up, Boneless Coding? Ramsey, my man, always quick with the trigger, always quick to it. How are you guys doing on this beautiful Friday evening? Tell me if the sound is bad, by the way. I'm using this mic and I don't have a pop filter in front of it. So yeah, just tweeting about this really quickly. And then, yeah, we'll jump into hanging out. Talking web development and JavaScript. Tweet that out. Post a link and Twittered. Dope. What is up, guys? Oh, there are people here now. It's not just Ramsey and Boneless. How are we doing today, guys? Hello, Donovan. Hello, Marios. I might have messed that up. What's up, Jenna? How are you guys doing? What's up, Daniel? Daniel, you were about fourth, unfortunately, but just like the dreaded dev on my last video. So yeah. Am I still able to meet up? I'm always able to meet up, my man. You're local. You're in the Triangle, right? Tell me when and where. This weekend is not great for me, but next weekend is fine. I am still in North Carolina. I am living in the Durham area. We are about to move, but staying over in the Triangle for sure. Just finished up learning React. That's dope, Jenna. How did you learn? Did you buy one of the Udemy courses, or how did you decide to go about learning that? Yeah, Ramsey, whenever you want to meet, man, let me know. We can pick a Starbucks. I live not too far away from like the Briar Creek area, which is close to Raleigh. Like I kind of live on the Durham-Raleigh border, so I'm right there. I've met, let's see here, four people from my, 4 people via YouTube so far in the Triangle, which is pretty dope. It's pretty wild. 2 new interactions on Twitter, people reacting to the live stream announcement. Maximilian's course, see, that's one I haven't taken. How did you like it, Jenna? Is it worth the money? Let me know. Yeah, the Dev Tips series. How do you feel about the Dev Tips news and having MPJ take it over? I know Coding Phase did a video about it where he said it would be like me taking over his channel, which is funny. I do wear hats. We both wear hats. That's one similarity Coding Phase and I have, but it is a different vibe with MPJ over there. Ramsey, I've met someone there. The first person that ever was like, hey, dude, I'm in the Triangle. Let's go meet. I met at that Caribou Coffee at Briar Creek. I'm down. I drink regular coffee, so it doesn't matter what coffee shop we go to, really. Yeah, Jenna, good practices are one of those things that are a lot of opinion, right? But I don't really have a strong opinion about best practices. Each place that you go is going to be different. Like my first job to my second job, how they interact with React and what they do with it are completely different. And they use TypeScript at my new job. And I don't know if you know anything about TypeScript, but you don't, like, best practices aren't optional. Like you forget a semicolon, or you don't have the right amount of space, or you don't have things on the right line, like indentation wise, TypeScript will yell at you and it won't like compile your code. So there's a lot of times where I'll like throw in a random console log in just to like try to bug fix or whatever, and TypeScript won't compile because I forgot to throw the semicolon at the end. So it really gets you on the bandwagon of following like a particular style guide. So in Fayetteville, I may have been to Fayetteville. I may have drove through it once. My wife is originally from like southern North Carolina, a little bit away from Fayetteville. That was like the big city they would go to when they needed to go to a city. That's pretty cool. Are you former military, or you just happen to be in Fayetteville? You probably get that question a lot. Fayetteville is known for its Army population. What is up, No Life? Never heard of DevTips prior to hearing the news of Fun Function. Yeah, DevTips was around, like when I first started, DevTips was still uploading regularly and like was really popular. And then, yeah, some things happened. He explained it in that video, like what was going on. So yeah. Decided to take action and send out resumes yesterday. I got my first email back and they want an interview. The problem is I live one state away. How should I handle this? Is it on your resume that you live a state away? Like, do they know that? And do they want you to come in for that interview? And if they do, is there any way that they'd be willing to do it via Skype? If it's on your resume that you live a state away, just explain that situation to them. And if you're not able to get to it, like to the actual interview, just explain that in the best way that you can. Most people are understanding of that. If you're willing to move for the job and they want you to be there in person, then that's okay. If they don't want it to be a remote position and you can't move, then that may be a roadblock. But a lot of people will understand, especially for a first interview, about that. When someone is ready to move on from JavaScript to React, that's a really hard question to answer. And it's going to be different for everybody. Jenna says she learned vanilla JavaScript first, ES5, ES6 before moving on to React. Yeah, you definitely want to learn ES6 syntax before you move on to React because a lot of React is using ES6 syntax. You want to have a firm base of vanilla JavaScript before you move on to React, although a guy I follow on Twitter, I think his name is Ben Weiss, recently tweeted that he thinks that that's not true, that you should just go ahead and learn whatever makes you happy first, and the fundamentals will come as they come. I'm not sure that I agree with that. You know, I made a video about it, and I piggybacked off the Dreaded Devs video about it. Learning vanilla JavaScript first is going to serve you better because React will eventually go, right? Like Angular dominated for a while and now it's React, and 2 years from now or a year from now or 6 months from now, something else may be dominating the scene, but the thing behind it's going to be JavaScript. What you should do is have a good base of JavaScript. You should know how to handle like promises in vanilla JavaScript. You should be able to make like a to-do app. That's like the classic like first like app to make in vanilla JavaScript. And once you're comfortable with that, then you can move on. What I would suggest is once you move on to React, if there's something that you're not getting in React because of a like core JavaScript principle, go back and learn that in vanilla JavaScript and don't just try to power through the React side of things. Yeah, Travis was good, man. He was a good guy on here. What is up, Artie Experience? IG, man, that IG life. I'm trying to get up on that. And be better about being like a development IG account. But I still want to share my life on there too, just like I do with my YouTube. So I know that my YouTube videos haven't been as much life sharing and way more just kind of like in your face, like information recently. Some people like that, some people don't. I get lots of comments on some of my videos when I do more life sharing stuff about how I waste time and stuff like that. So I don't know. People want what they want and everybody's different. How is it going, Larry G? What is up, my man? Manny from Dallas, Texas. There's a Dev Mountain over here. I've been debating on doing web developer for some weeks. I'm very interested as I look up the languages and the endless possibilities. Yeah, I've heard really good things about Dev Mountain. I don't have any personal experience with it, but I've heard there's like they have a really, really good track record for putting people into jobs and stuff like that. So yeah, couple weeks is a good amount of time to be looking into it. I wouldn't necessarily sign up to a boot camp after just learning about web development after a couple of weeks. I would do some like free stuff online, whether that's Codecademy or Free Code Camp, and actually get your hands dirty with languages and like computer programming and make sure it's something that you actually want to do. And you know what like flavor of programming you want to do. Like, do you want to be front end or back end or data scientist or full stack, or do you want to make games, like game development? Like there's so many different flavors of programming that it would be worth your while to invest in a little bit of dabbling to figure out what it is before you drop a bunch of money to go to Dev Mountain or something like that. Willing to relocate on the resume, and thanks for the response. Yeah, man. Good luck in the interview. Good luck. And how long have you been studying and doing all that stuff? Ryan, what's up, man? Just wanted to say thank you for your videos. Motivated Attitude really helped me during my journey. I ended up finding a role as a software dev. That is the best news I can hear, Ryan. That's awesome. I'm glad that you found a job. I'm glad that you like completed the first leg of that journey and were able to land a job, man. That's awesome to hear. Oh, Dave Cho, I read the first part of your comment before I read it out loud, and I already feel your pain. Finding it hard to use CSS. I have a lot of knowledge, but I feel so disorganized when writing it without a tutorial. Any tips? Dude, I feel the same way. I recently I'm building an app at work, and it's a small little thing, but there's a bit of CSS that needs to go into it. And dude, it's not CSS is one of those things, right? Like I don't know if I made this video or if I recorded it and then trashed it, but CSS is one of those things where like a lot of people spend 2 seconds on CSS and then move on, and that's fine sometimes. But there is so much depth to it that like I feel like a lot of people who have even been in this industry for a while don't understand. I'm one of those people. Like I've been doing this for a year and a half now, and I don't understand how to be a master CSS developer. And there are people out there who get paid just because they're dope at CSS. Um, there's a lot to it, and there's a lot wrong with it, and there's a lot of things out there to try to fix it. If you haven't looked into it already, Wes Boss has a Flexbox and a CSS Grid course. Both of those courses are amazing. If you're trying to learn Flexbox or CSS Grid, I haven't worked all the way through them. I really, 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 really need to, because they are dope courses for learning that kind of stuff. So take a look at those, and don't feel bad like needing a tutorial to get something done or needing to look stuff up to get stuff done, because that's how everybody does it. Like you can be a 10-year vet in this industry and you're still going to have to Google and use Stack Overflow to get things done and be productive. So I think you should start using framework when the projects you are working on actually need the functionality they offer. I totally agree with that as far as like if you're building projects, but I also understand that like not everybody is going to be building big, large projects on their own, right? If you're just wanting to make a simple weather app, it's really easy to do that with JavaScript, right? You make a promise to connect to a backend weather API and you show it on the front end, and you can do all that with JavaScript or jQuery if you're feeling a little frisky, and that's fine. But also being able to do that, building it with React is a good way to like enter that space, something simple to like use to make that app. And React is overkill there. You absolutely do not need React to build a weather app, but it's a good way to learn it. What's the best way to master HTML and CSS before moving on to JavaScript? So mastering HTML is a lot simpler than mastering CSS, in my opinion. But what I would do is clone like really dope, really modern websites and get them looking pixel perfect to what you see on the screen for yourself, and use things like CSS tricks and stuff like that to really get into the nitty gritty of what you're trying to accomplish. You absolutely like you don't need to understand like the intricacies of CSS animations to be able to move on to JavaScript. You don't need to, but it will serve you if you know how to do them when you get your first job, especially if you're working a lot on the front end and you don't have like web designers who are also part-time coders doing that sort of stuff. So also, if anybody wants to, I said it at the very beginning, but let me know how the sound is, if I need to move this mic farther away from me or if it's poppy, because I don't have my filter on it. So just let me know if the sound is good or not. Let's see. Working on redeveloping my online portfolio using Angular and Angular animations. Man, I need to redo my portfolio too. That's just a brutal reminder that I don't have a website. The goal was in 2018 to create like an Aaron and Beta website, and I just haven't gotten around to it yet, and it's almost May, and that's sad. But work has been killing me recently, and I haven't had any free space in my brain to do development work on the side. But I really, really want to do that and kind of make my own like personal space. I recently kind of got intrigued a lot by freelancing, and I'm going to start trying to get into that, and having a space to show off my work is going to be really important. What languages did I learn after the basics? HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and by the way, you get the best web development videos on YouTube. Thank you, CJ. I appreciate that. So I wouldn't call JavaScript a basic language, right? JavaScript is what powers the web. It is the web programming language. So if you go out and you learn something like React, you're really learning JavaScript. You're just learning a flavor of JavaScript, right? And you're learning a like beefed up version of JavaScript. The first thing that I tried to pick up was Ruby and Rails. After I learned HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and Angular 1, I kind of fell apart on it just because I was getting a new job and I knew that I needed to learn React, and I had learned Angular before that. So then I picked up React. I have a bit of knowledge in Node now. I did learn a decent amount of Node, for this new job and while I was in between jobs. So that was a big one. But those are all JavaScript languages. I really, really want to get into Python because I don't know, it's what all the cool kids are doing, I guess. But I really want to get some Python knowledge. And that's probably the next Udemy course that I buy. Treehouse is cool, but you need to take the training wheels off and use what they taught you. Yeah, that's like the point of my most recent video. In a video that I literally posted a year ago, I didn't realize I made very similar videos on the same day, a year apart. That Treehouse is great, Udemy is great, and Udemy is a little bit better about it, but learning to build stuff on your own is a great way to learn. And it's the most relevant way to learn to be job ready because the job's going to give you a task and you got to figure it out. So that's pretty typical of that. We've got 30 people in here. Oh my. Oh God, my chat just flew. Where are we going? My chat just like decided to go crazy. My name is also Ryan, and I also recently landed a junior dev job. Ryan, other Ryan, Ryan 2, the next Ryan. Congratulations on that job, man. That is super awesome. That is super awesome. Team Treehouse does have some pretty good HTML and CSS courses. They do. Yeah, Team Treehouse can definitely work some HTML and CSS in there. They have a really, Team Treehouse is really, really, really good at the basics. They're really good at laying that foundational layer down for you, for sure. Started Colt Steele's web developer bootcamp back in 2016. I only got halfway through it and quit, but I recently started coding every day since 2 months ago, and now I feel confident again. That's awesome, Jay. That is awesome, and good luck on those interviews. I am currently 6 weeks into my full stack immersive program, and it's unbelievably insane how much worth there is in courses online. I agree completely. I completely agree. Daniel, what boot camp are you in? I didn't spend too much time learning CSS in the beginning of learning web development. Yeah, most people don't, because the cool thing is JavaScript, or when I first got into web development and when I first got into front end web development, I thought for sure HTML CSS was going to be my business. I wanted to be creative and I wanted to build cool things and I wanted to pick cool colors. And then I realized what JavaScript did. And I was like, oh, wow, I feel like a hacker. This is crazy. I can do this kind of stuff. I can make computers do this. And then when I figured that out, I was like, okay, I want every logical problem. I want my brain to explode with logic problems. And then I just kind of pushed CSS to the side, learned how to do a box shadow. I was like, deuces, guys. I didn't know the difference between display and position, or, absolute and fixed, and had no idea about Flexbox or CSS Grid, those things. Well, CSS Grid wasn't even a thing then, but yeah, so I did the same thing. There's a guy called, I'm assuming Jonas, but possibly Jonas, on Udemy. He has a really good course on Flexbox's grids. The best thing about his course is that he goes over the basics, then he builds a real looking site. That's really cool. I don't know that course personally, and I don't know how much it costs. I do know that the Wes Bos courses that I mentioned are free. That's the only reason why I suggested those. Because if you can save money and spend the money elsewhere to learn other things, that's awesome. But yeah, that sounds really cool, man. Do I know Silicon Valley, like the TV show? I do. I'm behind. I've only watched season 1 and 2. So online resources for over 6. My chat just keeps going ham when I scroll down. For 6 months before going to a program, now I'm refining my skills and focusing on technical communication. That's really cool, man. Yeah, that's really cool that you went through courses beforehand too. You probably had a really good leg up on that. See, I didn't have a lot of background going in. We had pre-work, but I just didn't have a ton of motivation to do it because I knew my whole life was going to be it, so I didn't finish it. Shh, don't tell on me. So yeah, but doing pre-work, doing courses beforehand is great. CSS is kind of like whittling a piece of wood into something badass. Yeah, it is. There are so many CSS memes that just crack me up because it is literally it can be so frustrating. But once I unlocked the power of Flexbox, and I'm still not great with, I'm still not perfect with it, but once I unlocked the power of it, I was like, oh, CSS is kind of dope, isn't it? Because I hated that. I hated it for so long. Thanks, David. That's those words. I don't know how to take compliments. Thank you so much. I appreciate all you guys, and the motivation that you guys give me is what really keeps me going. So, Genesis course of the truth. I'm doing his JS course right now. I need to check this guy out. I need to check this guy out. A web design course. I need to learn more about web design. So I'm going to check that out for sure. Codecademy and Free Code Camp. Yeah, Free Code Camp, a lot of people bring it up, especially when I talk about buying courses and spending money to learn web development. People want to bring up Free Code Camp, and I don't have any experience with it. But I feel like I'm in the same mindset as a lot of people here on YouTube when it comes to learning on your own. And it sucks. It's like, it sucks, but it feels like the truth to me. And that's, there's a reason why some things people have to charge for. And it's not always because it's the best quality. There are probably a lot of really crappy courses out there on Udemy, but read the reviews, read the ratings, find people who you trust, whether it's on YouTube or blogs or wherever, and listen to their recommendations and do all of that. And that is what I don't know. You got to spend a little bit of money to make some money usually. So let's see. Am I still unemployed? No, I've been working since January. I got a new job. I got it like a couple months before January, but they wanted to hire me after the first of the year. So January, or actually New Year's Eve, I got on a plane to fly to South Africa for training. That's what those South Africa videos are. I was training for my new job. So I haven't used Sketch for design, but I do have Sketch on my computer because that's what they use at work. So I know how to navigate Sketch, but I'm not a designer. But yeah, so what's your backend stack? For me at work or when I work on personal projects? Most of the time when I work on personal projects, I'll work with a Rails backend, a Rails API that's exposed to a front end, mostly because the person that I work with on personal projects typically likes to code in Rails because that's what he learned. That's what he's the best at. Have you ever thought about teaching or making my own courses? I haven't, like, in a positive way. Like, I've made a promise to myself that I'm not going to do that for a while, just because I'm still new too. Like, you have to understand, I'm only a year and a half more senior than you guys when it comes to this thing. If you got a job tomorrow, I'm only a year and a half ahead of you in this industry. And so I don't want to put courses out there when I still make very common mistakes in my day-to-day coding life. And so I don't know. I would prefer to just share my life and what this world is like and what kind of tips and tricks for like motivational things and like mindset and the soft skills that come along with it. Because I'm not the best programmer and I know that. I'm not the best developer and I know that. I can't whip something up in React in 20 seconds like a person like MPJ can. Like, that dude is so much of a better programmer than I am. But what I do have a lot of skills in that I don't think a lot of people on here talk about are mindset things and soft skills and communication skills and how to navigate the world and the life of this whole thing. And so that's kind of what I want to share on here for the time being. Now, in the future, it may change when I have more skills, when I have more like digital technical asset. I may be able to change that up, but at this moment, that's what this channel is about. Yeah, a lot of people really like Sketch, Jenna. A lot of people do. Hey, Red Dragon. Hi, Coding Connections. Like Sketch for Windows. Sketch for Windows, Adobe XD, maybe. I mean, a lot of people still use Photoshop and Illustrator for web design stuff, but Adobe XD is something I've never used it, but thank you, Coding Connections. I appreciate that. You can try Adobe XD. Yeah, Adobe XD is a thing. Yeah, it costs. Creative Cloud is expensive, but then again, before Creative Cloud was a thing, you'd have to drop thousands of dollars to get the software. So, my thoughts on PHP. PHP is cool, man. PHP is one of those things where it powers a lot of the internet because it's WordPress, right? So learning PHP is a useful skill. Learning PHP in an area where there are a lot of PHP jobs is a hella useful skill. If you want to work with WordPress, learning PHP is great. Learning PHP for WordPress is great. I don't have a lot of experience with PHP as a backend language. I did do some work with it and a templating language called Twig that runs on PHP with my first job. And that's more of a content management system use case, more like WordPress. But yeah, PHP is worth learning. There's a ton of opportunity in PHP and WordPress. Just finished the front end of Colt Still, doing a few landing pages to start up in CSS skills, then on to back end. That's dope. What back end language are you going to pick, Coding Connections? InVision Studio, yeah. Um, that's a thing too. There's Affinity. Affinity makes like an Illustrator and Photoshop knockoff kind of thing that you can use to make. I think it's called Infinity or Affinity A, like Affinity Design, that you can use to make designs. I don't know how often it's used in web design, but I do know that that's a piece of software out there too. Um, any weird whiteboard questions that I got during my interviews? We had one where define an algorithm to determine whether a tic tac toe move wins. Um, that there's a simple answer to that, and then I had a follow up question that was, okay, now how do you make it better because of this is big O, like a big O type of question with that, that I completely and totally whiffed on. At one point, I was I was in an interview for a job where I would work in JavaScript every day. Like I would work in Angular 4, and TypeScript, and I was given a sheet of paper that had a snippet of code on it, and that code was written in C sharp. It wasn't in JavaScript, but it looked really similar to JavaScript. It was like a for loop, no big deal. And the question was, this piece of code has a bug in it. Determine what the bug is, and then you can only change one character. So you can add, remove, or delete one character to fix the bug. That question drove me insane. It was so weird. I had this piece of paper, and there's like 3 interviewers on this panel, and they're like talking amongst themselves as I'm looking at this. And it was in C sharp. Like I should have known it if you've seen a C sharp for loop. It looks exactly kind of like a JavaScript loop. But like there are terms in there that like threw me off. Yeah, I had some trouble with it. I ended up getting to it. I ended up finishing it. But yeah, it was definitely interesting. What language do you use most often for work projects? React, and TypeScript. TypeScript's not a language, but like a superset of JavaScript. And then React's not a language; it's a library for JavaScript. But yeah, JavaScript, React, that sort of stuff. Lived in Raleigh, was going to go to the Iron Yard, but they shut down on the cohort I was going to attend. Moved to New York City to go to Hack Reactor. Ended up going to a meetup and finding another program called Codesmith. First off, congratulations on moving to New York City. If I could live anywhere in the world, it would be New York City. I love New York City so damn much. I love that place so much. I was just there last fall. I want to go back. I always want to be back. I love that city. I'm sorry that the Iron Yard closed down when you were about to attend. They actually just opened up a new boot camp down here that's got some of the people from the Iron Yard in it. Doing it. It's in Durham. It's in the same space that the Durham Iron Yard was in, which is pretty cool. But I've heard of Hack Reactor. I haven't heard of Codesmith, but good luck in that if you do end up going. And yeah, if you move back down here, there's this thing called Momentum. So yeah. New York City, no New York City talk in my chat. You'll make me super jealous. But honestly, where do you live, Jenna? Because I want to know. You live in Long Island. Yeah. Long Island. God, I miss New York City. I love that place. Thanks, Cody Connection, for corralling the likes on this video. How many likes does it have? I don't even know. I'm not like monitoring the video itself. Can I see? Oh, I can. 12. 12 likes, 28 viewers. That doesn't make sense. That math doesn't add up. Let's see. Quit university, become a self-taught developer because of no reason, just to see if I can do it. I mean, challenging yourself is one of the best keys to success in my mind. Always giving yourself a challenge. Still haven't canceled my Creative Cloud subscription so I get it for free. That's so dope, Jenna. I wish that were true for me. That's so dope. How much time much you spend on coding every day? I'm a computer science student and I don't have so much time because of courses and projects for my college. There's no set amount of time. If you have 30 minutes and that's what you want to put your 30 minutes towards, if that's what you want to prioritize your 30 minutes towards, then 30 minutes is the exact amount of time you should be spending doing it. If it's an hour, then an hour is the exact amount of time you should be spending doing it. If it's 8 hours, then it's 8 hours, right? There's no blueprint. Everybody's their own individual and we all have our own time and priorities. Prioritize where you want your life to be and figure out a way to get there. If you can only spend an hour doing it, then it's going to take you longer than somebody who can spend 8 hours, right? That's just math. You don't have all the time in the world. You're a student now too. So you're learning one thing and you're trying to learn another thing, and that's really difficult. So you should commend yourself on like making the decision to spend time learning something that's going to benefit you, and you should figure out how much time you can spend without getting burned out. So if it's only an hour a day, then it's an hour a day, but make sure that hour a day is spent usefully and not half working on something and half looking at Twitter, which is something that I fall into. I fall into that trap all the time. I'm not the perfect person. And so just make sure that you keep the head down and keep trucking along in that journey. Not a fan of Affinity, Jenna. Yeah, it's. I mean, it's not. It's not Illustrator. That's for sure. But it's useful that it's so cheap for sure. Thank you, Mahmood. I appreciate it, my man. I like the emoji exclamation points. I really like that color. But thanks, man. 200 worth of books from Manning. That's awesome. What is up, Richard Codes? If you guys don't know Richard Codes, actually, let me do a couple of things here. Jenna has a channel. If you don't know Jenna Creates, she has a channel. Copy paste that name over to the YouTube search bar. Look up her channel, hit the subscribe button. Richard Codes has a channel. If you don't know that name, copy it, put it in the search bar, and subscribe to that guy too. They are both awesome YouTubers. And if anybody else has a YouTube channel in the chat, shout it out. Self promote. I have no problem with that. Lurie Pyres, hello. How do you deal with not feeling creative enough? So I have a little bit of a problem that I feel too creative sometimes. My problem is that I have too many ideas and they all run through my brain and I want to make them all right now. Right now, if I had my way in a perfect world, right now, my days would not be spent working for somebody else. I would be building an app that I have an idea for that I want to build that I think would be super awesome and would really, really, really make a lot of people's lives easier for creatives and creators on YouTube or podcasters, things like that. I have an idea for an app that I want to build. I haven't wrote a single line of code for it, even though I met with the guy that usually builds my backend on projects like a month ago. I haven't wrote a single line of code for it, but I really, really want to. So I'd be working on that, number one. I'd be developing a video game that I've wanted to develop for years. I know nothing about video game development. I've downloaded Unity and played around with it, but I really wish I could do that. I'd be writing a screenplay that I've wanted to write for forever. And I have these ideas all the time, and I want to make them. So I always feel like I'm too creative, and I wish I could shut that part of my brain off. But if you're not feeling creative, there are some like really good tips, and I've fallen into that trap before when I wasn't a programmer. When I was trying to write screenplays for a living and I always needed to have ideas, there are some things that you can like do to make yourself more creative. Allowing yourself to get lost in your thoughts is the one that always works for me. So you wake up in the morning and you pick your phone up and you go through Instagram, or you wake up in the morning and you throw the news on, or you wake up in the morning and you do whatever. Take 30 minutes to an hour, and sometimes it lasts longer because you just end up staying in this zone and just think, like just let your mind wander and daydream. Like the power of daydreaming is a lot less prevalent in society now because we have this constant influx of information that we can always have. And we can always find the answer because we have Google. Allowing yourself to daydream is a really, really powerful tool when it comes to creative thought. And if you can't do it right in the morning, take a break from work and walk out to a parking lot and just sit and think, or find some trees and sit and think. Like those things are like opening up your mind to just not be super active is a really good way. And that's like one of the ways that I had my best ideas. Like I always have my best ideas either right when I'm trying to fall asleep, right after I wake up, in the middle of the night when I wake up randomly, or like in the shower, because that's when my mind's the least like infiltrated by everything else, like this wild world around us. That's when it's the most free from all of that stuff. UNC Bootcamp is popular, Ramsey. I've heard mixed things about it. One of the people that I've met from this, actually 3 of the people that I met from this channel were UNC Bootcamp students. Not all of them finished. I've heard mixed things about it. So personally, I wouldn't recommend it just because of what I've heard, but I don't have all of the research. I haven't talked to anybody who actually like works with that program. I think it's a little shady how they market because they're not actually UNC. Like they're not a part of the university. They just license the name. So that's interesting, but I don't know. If you know anybody that has a different experience than that, let me know. Become a big fan of React, but I'm struggling with wrapping my head around Redux. What's the best way to get that to click? Keep on trucking. Redux is hard. Like Redux's learning curve is steep. It's like climbing Everest. And for Redux, for me, the way that I got it to click was just like keep going, and stuff starts to work. And when stuff starts to work, like a few moments later, they clicked in my mind. It's not the easiest thing to do. If you are trying to learn it on your own and you haven't like bought a course, it's like really useful to get a course with somebody who like knows Redux really well, like Stephen Greider. Those courses helped me a lot, and then I still struggled with it, and eventually it just kind of clicked. And I don't I don't know how to explain it. But Redux is definitely an interesting beast. We use MobX at work for state management. If you don't know MobX, you can check that out. There's free tutorials on egghead.io for MobX. It's a little bit more lightweight than Redux and a little less of a steep learning curve. How much does a React developer make in NYC? I have no idea. That's a good question. I'm assuming that you would be making decent money if you lived in New York City doing development work, even if you're like a super duper junior level developer. Have you guys heard of Lambda schools? And if you have thoughts on it, I have heard of it. I don't have thoughts. I don't know if it's a good option or not. City's too fast paced for me. Prefer being on the island. Yeah. See, I love that fast pace. I love like the culture and like stepping outside and just, oh, Jenna, I could talk about this all day. Done much with DigitalOcean. I'm playing around with droplets now, trying to work out installing Node.js on there. I have no idea. I haven't, Richard. I don't even know what DigitalOcean is, to be completely honest. What do you think the best resource to learn pure vanilla JavaScript, and then what resource is best to learn jQuery, etc.? So for me, there are two things that I always recommend for somebody learning vanilla JavaScript. One is the free, it's completely free ebook, Eloquent JavaScript. I believe it's eloquentjavascript.com or .org. Just type in Eloquent JavaScript into Google and it'll come up. That's a super, super boring. I'll be 100% honest. It's super boring. It's super bland. It's written like a textbook made for college, but it is a great resource. And then two is Wes Boss's JavaScript 30 challenge, where you build 30 projects in 30 days using vanilla JavaScript. Both of those things are completely free, completely vanilla JavaScript. They're great. When it comes to learning anything other than vanilla JavaScript, my best tip is to either go on to Team Treehouse and learn through their courses, or find good Udemy courses for whatever it is you're trying to learn. I link Udemy courses in the description of my videos that I have taken, so I can personally speak to the fact that they have helped me learn something. So if you want to check those out, but if you're wanting to learn something that's not linked in the description, you feel free to use the person's name who teaches that course and see if they teach the thing that you want to learn. So I link React courses. If you want to learn Vue, I don't know that Stephen Grider or Andrew have done Vue courses, but if they have, just search their name on Udemy and see if they come up. The best way to learn algorithms, there are a bunch of Udemy courses on algorithms. There's a Treehouse course on algorithms. So I would check those out. I don't have a good solid answer for you though. I talked to Momentum's team, told them about you showing me them when you made a video on it. I'd already moved, but everything happens for a reason. Planning on making YouTube videos. Yeah, man, that's awesome. YouTube has opened up a lot of doors for me, and I've met a lot of really cool people in this industry for that. And that's cool that you told the Momentum team. Most of them over there know who I am, so they know what I do. I love your videos. Been watching over a year, but actually typed, what have you been doing for a year? Got to subscribe quicker. You got to hit that subscribe button. I say it on the end of every one of my videos. I should start saying that at the beginning. That's what the cool YouTubers are doing now. Or they'll do the thing. I love this YouTube trend. It's big in gaming, I noticed, and like passive income, like YouTube videos, where at the very beginning of the video, they'll be like, and if we get to 100,000 likes in 24 hours, I'll release the second part of the series. Feels so manipulative to me. I don't know. But no problem for the plug, Jenna. I'm glad that you just subscribed to her, Richard. Chris Sean. We got a celebrity in the chat, guys. A real live YouTube coding celebrity. Chris Sean just hit, 18,000 subscribers or some crazy amount? What is up, Chris? What is up, my man? We are going to, let's see, what time is it? 6:51. I'm going to cut this live stream really, really soon. So if you have any last second questions, feel free to let me know. Currently doing a project for web development course for my college, and I asked the teacher if I can use Bootstrap for responsive web design, and he didn't even know it. That's really funny. Some people are behind the times. Bootstrap is everywhere nowadays. You don't have to use it to make a good responsive website, but it sure is useful, especially if you just want to use the grid system. Can you do only front end without knowing backend? You sure can do only front end without knowing backend. It makes it easier to have a limited knowledge of backend to do some front end stuff. It makes it easier for you to communicate with somebody, especially if they're using like a completely different backend language than JavaScript. Like if they're using Node, you're kind of speaking the same language, but different tongues. But if somebody's using Rails and you're using JavaScript, they have different words for the same things. So like you say function, they say method, like that sort of stuff. So if you have a limited knowledge, it makes it easier to communicate with the person who's doing the backend stuff, for sure. What is up, Robert? I just started following you on Twitter. I just found your Twitter because somebody retweeted one of your tweets. So I hit that follow button. How are you today, my man? Replace easily at work when the product change, you won't have enough value to the company. Yeah, and like what I would say, Ramsey, for sure, is that it's okay to not know the other side of things when you first start and then pick up the other side of things after that first job. That's a pretty common way of doing it for sure. Richard is an awesome dude. Plus he like has a way cooler accent than I do. Bruno, I think I was talking about front end and back end. Manning Unity in Action is a practical book that got published March of 2018. Unity in Action as in like game development Unity? Is the Flatiron School any good? Thinking of the data science option with them. I really don't know. I haven't done any research into Flatiron. I've heard good things, but I don't know from a personal standpoint. What's the difference between web dev and software development? That's a big question that it doesn't have a straightforward answer. Some people hear web developer and they think that you develop websites, like a WordPress developer type of thing, that you like make websites. Some people hear software developer and they think that you make like desktop application software. And both of those things can be true, but those also aren't the only definition, right? Like I work on software. I develop software that lives on the internet. It's a web application, right? So if you're a developer at Facebook, right? You develop something for the web, so you're a web developer, but you're also developing software that lives on the web. It's a web application. So you're also a software developer. And the line is hazy and it depends on whatever like definition you want to choose to use to describe those things. And some people are really archaic about it. And they think that if you're a web developer, you're not a software developer. And can kind of be true. Like technically, if you only know HTML and CSS and you make websites, like you're a web developer, are you a software developer? Probably not. Like that's probably where the line should be drawn, but there's a lot of overlap and bleed and all of that stuff. So let's see. If you want to be a full stack developer, yes. Otherwise, go with front end. Unless you like backend, there are plenty of people who like backend and don't want to mess with anything to do with CSS or HTML, which I totally get. Go grab you some dinner, Jenna. That's what I'm about to do. We're about to get some dinner and figure out what we're going to binge on Netflix or HBO. By the way, has anybody seen Wild Wild Country on Netflix? Because I'm really trying to convince somebody to watch that with me tonight. YJS is hard to learn because the guy wrote it in like 13 days and it does a lot of weird stuff that other languages don't do. And really cool languages hadn't been built yet that make it easy to learn. But once you get it, and it becomes a lot easier. Also a web developer in Raleigh. Have you ever thought of going to a meetup? I actually did a video about meetups. I used to go to them a lot, especially when I was job hunting, and I haven't recently just because of time. Do you go to any meetups in the Raleigh area, and which ones do you go to? I've been to like Triangular JS. I don't know if you know Tracy. Tracy, I used to go to her meetups a lot. She's really cool. If you haven't checked out like Modern Web meetups and Tracy Lee on Twitter, then check that out because they are pretty awesome people. Is there a difference between web apps and progressive web apps? There absolutely is. I actually recorded a progressive web apps video that I scrapped because I thought it was garbage that I'm going to redo. But in short, progressive web apps are... oh, Phil, I just read your comment because I saw your name, so I had to read it. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So progressive web apps are going to be apps that close the gap between native applications on your phone and the web, because right now the web sucks on your phone. Going to like your Chrome browser and surfing the internet on your phone sucks. If you want to watch a YouTube video, or if you want to get on Instagram, or if you want to get on Twitter, you probably go to that native app, that Twitter app, that Instagram app, or that YouTube app, and you don't watch it through the browser. And why is that? Because the browser on your phone sucks. So progressive web apps aim to cut that down and like get the web on your phone closer to what a native app experience is like. So that's the difference between like a traditional web app and a progressive web app. Good indications that one would be ready to start looking for a junior developer job. I'm really great with HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and some foundational JavaScript. Justin, it's going to depend on it's really going to be dependent upon the area that you live in. If there's a lot of opportunity, feel free to start applying as soon as you feel comfortable with JavaScript and get feedback. Ask for feedback. Ask why you weren't like right for a position. And and write really cool cover letters that are going to like speak to the opportunity and the passion that you have for this thing, and just see what happens. Take that feedback and then make yourself better based upon that feedback. Yeah, that's my best suggestion. Phil, I have won one game of Fortnite. One game of Fortnite, and it was the most bogus win in the history of winning Fortnite. I can tell you that. Bootstrap 4, they changed a lot. I've heard this. I don't use Bootstrap. I was always a foundation kind of guy myself, but yeah. So let's see. Take it easy here. I'm going to get back to working on my... Get it done, Donovan. That's what's up. See into the future on his new monitor. Man, that new monitor is dope as hell, though. I'm going to be honest. Will I repeat what again, Mohammed? Do you have some advice for newbies? Maybe something you wish someone told you when you started? Sorry for bad English, by the way. There's no bad English there, no life. The best piece of advice that I can give you is that it's worth it. 100%. If you're starting out in this and you like it and you enjoy it, it's worth it. Becoming a developer completely and totally changed my life in almost like universally a positive way. It's worth it. Do this on a set time, weekly or monthly? I have thought about that, and that is something that may be coming very soon. Shh, that's a secret. Let's see. What is up, Silverblade? 36-inch monitor. I know people use 50-inch monitors for well, yeah, dude. Graphic design monitors. Have you seen those? Oh God, I forget the brand. There are some amazing monitors out there, though. Like I learned to code on one screen, so like I have a second monitor at work, and I just never use it. Like I just use my 15-inch MacBook because that's how I learned how to code, and it's just the way that I'm alt tab, Command R. Like I guess it's Command tab on a Mac, but showing my PC days off. Website for a client. How do I make it easy for the client to upload their own content like articles, pictures? And the best way to do that is to use a content management system on the back end. If they need to make constant changes to a website, if you're building a website for a client, and they need to make constant changes to it, it's not just going to be a static website that just needs to display the same information for years at a time, then using a content management system like WordPress is going to be your best option. Phil, I'm down to play whenever, but I'm not like one of those PC dudes. I'm not that cool. I have a PS4, but if cross-platform is up now, I don't know if it is, but if it is, I'm down to play. And I will carry you because I've heard the stories of how bad you are. Boom, roasted. All right, guys, this is where I'm going to cut it off. So yeah, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave them in the comments of this live stream, and I will get back to you and absolutely answer any questions you have. Is it possible to build a website from scratch or allow clients to easily update there? Hindies, it's possible, but you're going to have to build essentially a backend admin thing, and that's a solved problem. I would just use WordPress. It's free. It's free to use, so... Angular, but I hired on a real project as full stack developer. How can I learn Angular? I would find a Udemy course and go through it as quickly as you possibly can if you need it quickly. So, yeah. So, yeah, send me a message, man. Send me a message on YouTube, or if you have. So messages on YouTube don't like give you a notification like they do on other platforms. So I'll try to remember to check that, but I miss them sometimes. So yeah, if you have Instagram or Twitter, I'm usually more responsive on there because they actually put a notification on my phone. But yeah, I will do it more, Mohammed. I will. I promise. But yeah, I will see you guys soon. Thanks for coming and hanging out. We've got 22 people here right now. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm going to hit the stop broadcast button right now. Bye.